Hi everyone, I'm Reading with Jack and today I'm here with my August wrap-up and September 2 bread pile for 2014. I decided to sit in a slightly different place today because I just felt like it, and I really hope that none of you mind. Definitely tell me if you prefer me sitting here or where I normally sit. I just wanted your opinions. I definitely think it's less shadowy here, so possibly it's better to sit here. I used to sit here and then I moved and then I don't know what's going on. This is so rambly, just let me know down below in the comments. Of course I'm going to be talking about all of the books that I read in August. I'll be giving mini reviews, sharing my opinions and telling you what they're about. And then I'll be talking about all my plans for September, all the busyness and craziness that's going to be going on, and then of course all of the books I want to read. That's definitely the most important thing because books are so exciting. But first let's get on with my August wrap up and let's talk about the books that I read in August. So in August my monthly theme was rereads, and in total I read 3 books, which is okay. It's not fantastic, but I did read quite a lot of pages overall, way over 1,000 pages, which is definitely quite an achievement. I have been in a little bit of a reading slump this month, which is definitely a shame. Why is it always August when I'm in a reading slump? I never understand this because I'm not at school. I should be reading for hours on end every single day, and it hasn't happened. I just don't know why it's always August when I'm in a reading slump. I have no idea. But the books I read were still very enjoyable, and that is definitely the main thing. So let's get on and let's talk about the individual books that I read. The first book that I reread was one that honestly appears on my channel all the time. It's definitely one of my favourite books, and from rereading it, it just proves how amazing it is. It is The Shadow of the Wind by Zafón. Such a bookish, amazing, bookish book. It's so good, like seriously good. You must read this if you haven't already. I am trying to promote this book all the time. I just wish more people would pick it up and read it because I can guarantee you will definitely enjoy it. The book's set in Barcelona 6 years after the Spanish Civil War, and the main character is called Daniel Sempier, who goes to the Cemetery of Forgotten Books, and then he discovers a book called The Shadow of the Wind. That's the one he chooses out of the selection, and then he finds that there's someone out there in the world burning this book and destroying all books by the author that wrote it, who is Julian Carax. Daniel has to discover the mystery behind this book. Why is this happening and what can he do to save it? And it is honestly so amazing. The characterization is on point because the characters are so bookish. You really definitely connect with them. There are so many amazing vivid descriptions of Barcelona, and the plot is just really great. I love how it moves. Like, it's not the most fast-paced book, but the way the mystery's unfolded is just perfect. I will keep talking about this book until people start reading it, so definitely read this book. It is obviously one that I recommend. The second book that I reread was Royale by Koushun Takami, and this was actually my favourite book of last year, but to be honest I didn't enjoy it as much the second time. It didn't have the same level of unpredictability as it did the first time. I think the beauty of it the first time was the intensity that really just took me away, and I definitely still found it to be very intense and very gory the second time, but it just wasn't as good overall. It's a dystopia which is about Japanese high school students who go to an island and they have to fight to the death in a program created by the Japanese government. The main thing I found with this book is there are too many characters. I think I've now come to the conclusion there are just too many, everyone. There are, 42 students plus other characters, and it's kind of hard to keep up with who's who. It's hard to remember everyone's backstory and what everyone has done. Overall, it is very enjoyable and it is very graphic and very fast-paced. Just a problem I found was the characters. I didn't connect with them as much as I do with other books, but still a really good one. If you're looking for a really fast-paced, intense, graphic dystopia, this is definitely one that I would recommend picking up. The final book that I read this month wasn't actually on my to-be-read pile. I actually took a week or two off reading because I was in a bit of a reading slump, as I said, and I didn't feel like reading. I don't know what it was. I just thought if I take a break and then I can get back into the reading mood afterwards, and right now I definitely feel bookish again, so that is good. And the book that I read was If I Stay by Gayle Forman. I gave it a 4 out of 5, and I honestly really enjoyed this book. It was a roller coaster of emotions. The characters were fantastic, and it was so fast-paced as well. It got going from the very first page, which is great. It's a very short book, so you sort of expect it to be fast-paced, but it was amazing. The pacing was on point throughout. It's about a 17-year-old girl called Mia Hall who gets into a car accident, and then she wakes up in the hospital. She has an out-of-body experience. She's surrounded by her friends and her family, and she has to make a decision. If you're looking for a book-to-movie adaptation, since the film has just come out, definitely pick this one up if you haven't already. So now let's move on to my September 2 bread pile, but before I start, I just want to tell you why I'm going to be very busy this month, what is happening, and why I probably won't have as many videos up, why I won't be reading as much. Possibly I won't be as active as I have been over summer. I'm going back to sixth form on Wednesday, which is very important. It's my final year, so I really have to work hard. I'm going to have so much stuff to do. I am the kind of student that puts hours and hours of work in because I'm just like that. So obviously that's a good thing, but I won't have as much time to read, and I don't know how many books I'm even going to get through this month. So my two bread pile is kind of unpredictable. It could go really well, it could go really bad. But hopefully it'll go well. You know, let's try and be optimistic about everything. Because I'm going to be really busy this month, I'm not going to pick a monthly theme because I feel like I just want variation in my reading. I want every book to be very different, and hopefully that will just keep me reading and reading. The first book that I'm going to be reading is a classic, and it is one that I was so excited about when I got it for my birthday, and I've already started reading it, and seriously, this is a good book. It is The Tenant of Wildfell Hall by Bronte, and finally it's time to stop rejecting Bronte, everyone. Society has rejected her, and I will promote this book as much as possible because it is actually really good so far. I'm loving the ideas, I'm loving the writing style as well. It's so vivid and descriptive. Not the most fast-paced style, but it works so well for what it is. It focuses around the main character of Helen Graham, who is of course the tenant of Wildfell Hall. It basically goes through why she is the way she is. She is a recluse, she is very isolated, she keeps herself to herself, she doesn't go to any of the parties that are held, and she's a very complex character. And it's not until Gilbert, who is the narrator, actually finds her letters that she's wrote, and he finds out about her marital cruelty, the terrible past she's been through, and I really can't wait to get to that part in the book because it's going to be fantastic. Well, obviously not fantastic that someone has been through terrible things, but fantastic to read. It's going to be very eye-opening. Of course, a beautiful cover, you know, I had to point it out. It's a Penguin English Library edition. I'm an addict for Penguin English Library edition books, but seriously beautiful. This is one of my favourite covers out of all of them, in fact, and it is definitely one I'd recommend. Of course, I'll update you more when I finish the book, but so far, so good. The second book that I'm going to be reading is the third and final book in the Cemetery of Forgotten Books series by Zafón, which is The Prisoner of Heaven. I think I bought this in July and I never showed it in my book haul. Who knows why, but it's an amazing book, and I'm really happy to finally have this cover, the one I wanted. I was waiting for ages to finally find the cover, and it was there in Waterstones, and I picked it up immediately. Of course, I've already talked about what it's about with The Shadow of the Wind, and I have actually read the second book. I read that earlier this year, which was, again, really, really good. It's just a trilogy I would recommend, and even though people say this is the worst book out of all of them, I am very excited because it can't be that bad. I mean, the other two books are absolutely near perfection, so this will still be a very good book. I can't wait to get to all the bookish references, and looking on the back, it's set 1 year after the first one. It says peace seems to have returned to Sempier and Son's bookshop, but the story is not over. So I'm guessing there'll be a lot more mystery to discover. I'm sure it's going to get me into a really bookish mood, because how can a book about books not get you into a bookish mood? I am seriously excited to read this. It's going to get me into a Spanish mood as well, which is great for sixth form. I'm studying Spanish, of course, as well as French and English literature, so hopefully this will be a really entertaining read. The final book that I'm going to be reading is for a Divergent collection by Veronica Roth, which is a selection of short stories about the Divergent trilogy. I'm hoping to read this one. I really hope I manage to get through it in time, because it's short stories and it's a YA book. I should be able to get through it quite quickly. I'm sure it's going to have a very fast-paced nature to it. You know, the writing style will be quite easy to understand, so it won't take too long to get through it. I want to know about his transfer from abnegation to dauntless. I think that's going to be great to read about, and just everything about him. I just want to know more and more. Most people say this is a really good book and a great accompaniment to the trilogy, so hopefully I will enjoy it. And, you know, Divergent is a really good trilogy overall, so it is definitely one I'd recommend. And obviously, the film came out this year, which I haven't yet seen, but I definitely will at some point. And now we've got this other book as well as part of the trilogy. So these are all of the books that I mentioned in this video. If you've read any of them, please let me know down below in the comments what you thought of them. Of course, I love hearing your opinions. Your opinions are always valued on my channel. I just love interacting with you all. So if you've read any of them, I'd love to hear from you. Also, don't forget to let me know what you read in August. I am very excited to hear, because so many people in the book community read so many books in August, unlike me. And I seriously want to know what you've read. If you have any great recommendations, of course, that's probably going to add to my humongous to be bought and to be read list, but I don't mind, you know, just tell me about amazing books. Equally, don't forget to tell me about what you're planning to read in September. But until next time, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all again in my next video.